Have you ever been portrayed in the wrong way? Well, countless villains have, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. 11 villains that weren't wrong or were just misunderstood. Killing half of all existence isn't exactly a good thing, I mean quite obviously, but his intentions were only for good. Working with his current method, he could have improved by making it that like everyone who lived forgot that the people who died even existed. That way there would be no fighting back, no resistance or anything like that. However, a better idea would be to just kill only evil people, then instead of killing other people, we could make like plants and stuff like that grows, food grows faster or stuff like that. I mean, he has this stone, so he can do whatever he wants. He could have done that instead of killing half the people, but his intentions were good. Bowser's the furthest from a villain, but they always paint him as the bad one, who's just trying to find a caring mother for his children. Now, yes, admittedly, kidnapping a woman isn't exactly a good way to do that. However, his intentions were the purest of any villain. If anyone's a villain, it's Mario, because he's the one who terrorizes countless turtles for literally no reason and kills the Yoshis, which protected and raised him. For anyone who doesn't know, Count Dooku was a Jedi, but he left them because, long story short, he doesn't agree with their methods and how they deal with confrontations. Yes, he did horrible things and still should be considered a villain, but in some ways he wasn't really wrong. The Jedi are incredibly selfish and wrong in their doings, at least in my opinion, and he did right by fixing them up a little bit. I know he's technically an anti-hero, but he does what the law won't, what people are scared to do. He kills the lowest of the low scum on the earth, and in doing so, he saves thousands of people. Because the governments and leaders don't want him influencing people, they label him as dangerous and paint him as the villain. When in reality, all he did was help so many people. If you made this far into the video, you most likely genuinely care about the content, which I would ask if you could please like or subscribe, or both. Don't want to drag this on even further, so let's jump straight back to the video. Ender dragons were hunted for sport, almost entirely eliminated because people just decided to have some fun. There was no fair or just reasoning for their actions. They just did it because that's what humans do. The Ender dragon is simply protecting its domain and its people, and there's nothing wrong with that. And yet it's always looked at as the villain and the bad guy, and we constantly go into its territory and kill it. Most people probably know this by now, but he's simply painted falsely. For years we were led to believe he's evil when he's simply trying to expose the corruption in the government and in society, and how poorly it treats millions of people. His methods are by all means deadly and terrifying, however, this only proves his points further every time there's drama. I don't think people actually understand what his goals were and why he did what he did, at least in the movie. He was trying to cleanse the earth of pain, viruses, destruction, in other words, humans. By eliminating humans, it would prevent so much war and terror, ultimately just creating a better universe. I know it's rather dark and scary to think about, but at least in the MCU, was he actually wrong by trying to kill all people? He's still by all means a villain, and this doesn't excuse all the terrible things he's done, but pretty much everything he does after episode 1 is just for revenge. He was wronged by a lot of people and just getting revenge, and honestly, I'm totally for revenge. And I know it sounds very bad, but of course there is a limit that's too far. Like, you know, if someone steals your candy bar and then you just pull an AK-40 on them. But I mean, just in general, I feel like revenge is justification. His methods were beyond extreme, but his motives are reasonable. As kids, we were taught to believe Plankton was the bad guy. In reality, he's simply fighting against the fat cats and the rich. He's trying to make food just as good as the Krusty Krab so anyone could have it and afford it, but instead he gets treated like shit and like a villain. He didn't really do anything wrong. I mean, theft isn't good, but it's not that bad. And plus, I don't think he ever actually succeeded in stealing the recipe. This is talking about Magneto in the movies, as I'm not familiar with the X-Men comics, but for the most part, he was just defending himself and other mutants. He had a different approach than other mutants to preserve their kind, but that doesn't make him evil. Humans were literally racist to mutants and never tried to work with each other. So Magneto had all the rights to do what he did. Although admittedly, he did make some bad choices down the line and had some unnecessary deaths and drama, but for the most part, he was quite justifiable. So as I'm editing Arise, I forgot to mention this video, don't take it too seriously, it's just a goofy video. Some of, well, they aren't kind of misunderstood and right in certain ways. Some of them are still by all means terrifying and bad, but I thought I'd put this disclaimer out there just so no one comments thinking I'm like a psycho or just like justifying all this brutal murder. But that concludes for today's video. Let me know in the comments which villains I missed out on here, and I'll catch you all next time. Have a good one.